Northwest Christian Schools. Thankful for the past, building for the future.
Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
The month was March of 1949. The place, Spokane, Washington. A handful of people gathered together on a cold, blustery evening with a united concern and a common dream. Driven by a deep desire to affect not just the future of the inland Northwest, but of the world. Their goal was to create a place where students would be challenged to be all that they could be by God's design. A place where not only the mind is filled, but the heart and soul as well. A place to learn about truth in a way that would give them a foundation for a lifetime. On September 7th, 1949, dreams came true when the first class of approximately 70 students assembled for the first day of school. Northwest Christian High School was born.
I was, very, very frightened probably, but then there were these kids that were waiting on the steps of the old Fourth Memorial Building before that part was torn down. Well, I guess it's still there. But I remember that most distinctively, meeting up with the kids and then going on in and meeting the faculty and the students. But that was the beginning of my time at Northwest.
With the new adventure just begun, the staff and growing student body faced their share of challenges that first year. The small spaces of Fourth Presbyterian quickly closed in around the infant school. The decision was made to move the school to the new First Assembly of God building. Then further remodeling forced the school to pull up stakes again that first year, finally to land at the Hilliard Baptist Church.
And of course Spokane was growing, and Christian schools, I think, are needed in any area. And we were so glad to get it started.
In May of 1950, after many changes and growing pains, Northwest Christian graduated its first class of 6 seniors. Having successfully faced the challenges, the flame had been lit in the hearts of those who called themselves NWC. But at Northwest Christian High School, each person knew they were only scholastic nomads for a very short time.
We used a Baptist church for a while, and then we moved into this other building, and then finally we got a school building. And it was very good.
During that previous summer of '49, by God's grace and provision, 117 lots at the corner of Cedar and Central had been purchased for a total of $7,000. Immediately, plans were explored to develop this land that had been virtually donated to them.
We were so eager and so earnest to be in our own buildings, and they were working on moving down these old Farragut buildings from Farragut, Idaho. And they were like the barracks, but they were getting them in place.
The first campus was formed. Finally, students moved into their new home at what is now known as the Central Campus.
It was really exciting when the barracks arrived because we finally would have a home on our land. And we all took real pride in the fact that it was ours.
By 1953, many parents expressed their desire for an elementary school to be added. They needed a place for the younger students to receive the same quality, biblically based education that the older students received. On May 24, 1953, the city's first Christian grade school would be starting in the fall using the old Madison Grade School at Dalkey and Division. In 1954, the junior high was added to the Central Campus, and the next year united the grade school to the same campus. Through those early years at NWC, growth was steady, and the roots of Christian education spread wider into the community with each passing year. Many people believe one of the reasons for the tremendous early success of Northwest Christian was the powerful ministry of the music and gospel teams. Countless hours were spent touring and performing anywhere the message of Jesus Christ could be shared.
And the trios would go out and just put on like a whole service and represent Northwest Christian and through our testimony and our singing.
On May 18th, 1980, Mount St. Helens blew up. And we just happened to be on a little choir outing in Grangeville, Idaho. And we got stuck in Grangeville with just our choir outfits on for a couple days. And that was really an experience. We had a blast.
Not only was it wonderful for those who heard, but it formed a critical connection with the community and heightened the awareness of NWC in the entire Northwest. Another highly visible aspect was the athletic success of the school. Basketball, baseball, and many other team sports were embraced by the NWC family.
I think probably one of the most exciting experiences I had personally was when we, as students, was to see the first team win the state meet championship in basketball, because they were such a tremendous group of young people. I mean, those kids were really dedicated to the Lord, and they really were desirous of going as far as they can to honor the Lord. And when they won, it was a tremendous emotional high. Not only because they won, but just because they were good kids and their families were so supportive and they were so into the school. And then when the second team won it too, that was another tremendous thing.
After several years of growth, the Crusaders made an indelible mark in history by becoming the Washington State Beat champions, not just once, but twice. Northwest Christian will never forget the year it lost one of the finest young men, both in talent and character.
Looking at him now, it's hard to imagine Keith ever having cancer. Keith Dyke is a junior at Northwest Christian High School. Normally, he'd be looking forward to another baseball season, but this past week he found out his season would be cut short.
I was fortunate enough to coach Keith in baseball, and Keith was a kind of young man who, whatever he did with his whole heart, put everything into it, and that was just Keith Dyke. He did it whether he was on the court, whether he was battling cancer, whether he was in the classroom. He just was an outstanding young man.
Are you prepared? It's kind of a scary thing to face for some people.
Sure. As I'm a Christian, I know where I'm going when I die.
The early 1980s were a time for steady development and enrichment of the school. Facilities were improved and modernized. The school began to grow into its respected role to educate and challenge students. But the 80s also brought the largest challenges that Northwest Christian has ever faced. These were years of reevaluation. Positive things began to unfold as the staff and Board of Regents worked closely together. These crucial and difficult years brought a much-needed clarity to the vision and purpose of the school. Those who persevered and believed carried NWC through a time when many thought the doors would close. Off-campus developments like the Northwest Christian Thrift Store and the Women's Auxiliary helped renew the vision and stability of the school. At the heart of each project were volunteers. Northwest Christian School wouldn't even exist today if it weren't for those who gave because they still believed. Confidence and enrollment restored, Northwest Christian forged into the 1990s stronger than ever. May 1996 saw the signing of purchase agreements for the newest and largest single development in the history of NWC. 116 acres, complete with 42,000 square feet of buildings, was acquired for well below its appraised value. Plans were quickly made to retrofit the buildings to accommodate 200 high school students for the fall of 1996. Once again, the working of God's hand. This rich 50-year history of Northwest Christian Schools has made it today one of the finest schools in the Inland Northwest. The best education, the finest teachers, some of the best results from individual students anywhere in the area, all based on solid principles from the Word of God.
For the reverence and fear of God are basic to all wisdom. Knowing God results in every other kind of understanding.
I've trusted in the Lord a lot more since I've been here. And that's gonna, that'll help you in anything.
I like it because it's a good school and you get to learn about God a lot.
I like this school because you're able to talk about God and you can talk to your teachers about problems.
I think what I like best about Northwest Christian are all the friendships and just how accepting everyone seems to be.
There's not really very much bad kids that can boss you around.
All the teachers here are nice. There's not one teacher that really hates one kid.
The teachers actually really care about our school, and they really are always there for you inside.
The teachers help us grow in spiritually, and I like that we couldn't get that in public school. And the teachers here are totally awesome. Yes.
We love Northwest Christian!
When it comes to sound, quality education based on God's principles, it doesn't get any better than NWC.
I think the Christian-based education, that the teachers have the similar faith that I do, and that shows in their ethics and their morals and their teaching in the class.
It just seemed like our kids needed an environment where the classes were smaller and they could have more attention from the teachers. God has really used some of the different chapels over the years to speak to our kids' hearts, and they've responded to the Lord through these chapels, and that's been exciting for us.
This school is equipping children to go out into the world and fight the battle, which it is. And I think that in the world today, when you send your kids out there without any spiritual armor on, let's say, that you're really sending them to the wolves. And I think that this school really helps them to set standards for themselves and to determine what is important to them and to walk really close with the Lord.
What has kept us here has been the teachers and their heart for these kids, the sacrifices that they make to be with these kids and mentor these kids and change their lives.
Parents are really searching for schools that support Christian values, that really are giving the same values that they're trying to teach at home and in their churches. And parents are wanting to see high standards of discipline and also academic excellence, which Christian schools can provide within a biblical context.
We need to be exposing kids to principles that build their character. And so as you teach the content, whether you're teaching history, science, English, whatever the discipline is, we need to be integrating that with the Word. And from that, there's real power. There's power in knowledge, and there's power in the Spirit.
Academically, NWC has achieved one of the highest ratings in the region. But more than knowledge performance, students gain a different advantage.
Well, there came a point where a teacher, I believe it was Mr. Orr, told me my attitude, my sensitivity towards others, my kindness towards others, my heart towards others needs to change. And once I softened my heart, blessings came. Once I had sensitivity towards other people, just my life turned around. All of a sudden I went from the bad guy to the good guy, and teachers liked me. I mean, kids liked me, students liked me. My wife ended up liking me. She went from hating me to liking me. So just everything, when my heart softened and my sensitivity came out, then that's when I was blessed to the full. The biggest thing that Northwest Christian showed me when I left there and while I was there was that your character builds your foundation, and your foundation roots you in strength with Christ when you leave that school, which shelters you into a world that's full of everything. And the foundation is the thing that's is gonna hold your vision, hold your line in life.
Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. Psalms 127:1.
The new millennium holds exciting days for the future of Northwest Christian schools. Enrollment is projected to triple from the current 550 in K through 12 to 1,500 students in the years ahead, as more and more parents seek the advantages of private Christian education. In the spring of 2000, ground was broken for the new Activity Center Gymnasium at the Colbert campus, which will give the school the much-needed space to host games and academic competitions. as well as events for the surrounding community.
This is a part of a vision that we're going to carry the school into the 21st century. This campus, which is 116 acres, is set up and designed to accommodate 1,200 students. And depending on the demand that God brings us and the financing, it'll provide for the future of the Christian education in North Spokane.
At the Central Campus, plans are being laid for a large addition of new classrooms and other improvements to give elementary students a better environment and allowing expansion of the new TLC extended daycare and preschool. Eventually, a second elementary school will be added to the Colbert campus, further serving the families of the expanding North Side. Northwest Christian Schools has come a long way from its humble beginnings 50 years ago. Those who have always believed will tell you it hasn't been easy.
I feel really rooted in everything that I believe, and it's challenged me a lot to look at what I believe, and so when I leave here that I won't ever be able to have to question what I've been taught, and that I will always know exactly what I believe.
The things I learned with Northwest and from the teachers, you know, are going to really help me to really advance in life outside of baseball. It's going to help me to really, I want people to look up to me, not because I'm a baseball player, but who I am as a person, as a man of God. And they have really helped me in that area in life, and I really thank all the teachers and everybody for doing that for me, and I love them all.
We are very grateful for the vision and the mission that was embraced 50 years ago. And we're grateful for the people that kept the fire glowing.
But at this very moment, the need for training students who will make a difference for Jesus Christ is more crucial than ever. The future of our families and our nation will be richly blessed by the lives of students trained and founded on the very truth of God's Word. The students of Northwest Christian Schools.
If you abide my word, then you are truly disciples of mine, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:31 and 32.
Speaking the truth in love, we are